everyone, it's Vivien speaking. I hope that you've had a really good week. And now, those of us who live in the Southern Hemisphere have turned and we're facing slightly warmer weather. But in Aotearoa, New Zealand, we've had a lot of rain. And in a strange way, that connects with today's gospel. Now, in today's gospel, we're asked a question by a young man who asks Jesus, he says, "Please will you tell my brother to share the inheritance with me?" Obviously, it's a large inheritance, and a share will make a huge difference to the younger man. But Jesus is not going to get caught up in earthly plans and ways of doing things. So he responds, ultimately, by telling a story. We've talked about parables in the past, and this is one of the parables that most of us know. And in this parable, one thing we are immediately aware of is the man who has had a wonderful bumper crop and really hasn't got room to store all of his crops safely. All of the conversation he is having is with himself. He says, "I" and "my" all the time. Not once does he say thank you to God or thank you to his labourers who have been the people who really worked hard in the field. No, it's all about "I" and "my." My land has yielded great crops for me, and I have to keep it safe so no one steals it or it doesn't go off. And what can I do because I don't have enough space in my barns? And then he has a brainwave and he says, I'll knock them all down and I'll build a bigger barn. And the bigger barn will be able to take all the crops, all the extra surfeit crops that I have, as well as anything that I might have that's safe. Keep it safe and keep it from other people, from taking it away. And God says to him, "Fool, don't you realize that this very night your life is finished? It's going to be taken away from you. And you will have no need for extra crops and extra equipment and extra clothing and extra gold and all of these things that you have put in your barns, in all of these spaces that you have designed for your things to be kept away from others. What use will you have of them when you are dead?" And so we are made to think of what is really important. You know, there have been very severe floods all around the world this year, and one can't help but think when you see people being plucked out of the water by helicopters or onto boats, and all they have with them are the clothes they're standing up in, and maybe they have with them one or two precious things, but maybe they won't. Maybe they'll be holding their children or their pets, because those are the really important things in life. And they just leave the ruin of the flood behind them, or the ruin of the fire behind them. And we constantly see these images on our tellies. So it's a lesson that we can all think of, because our world, the Western world particularly, is a world where greed is drip-fed into our lives. Get new sheets every year. Really? Do you have to get new sheets just because they're the new patterns or colours? How absurd. I remember as a little girl, my granny changing the linen sheets and cutting them carefully down the middle where they'd become worn, and turning the outside to the inside and stitching up the middle so that there would be more use from those linen sheets. And they were probably, 10 or 20 years old. But no, we're told buy new ones because last year's style is out of fashion, and do something different. And you see, We can, because we have the means to do that. And we don't think of where we have the means from. We don't think of where we get everything from. We don't think of thanking God and giving away what we don't need and sharing it. So, that's the gospel story for today, the parable, and it's one that all of us really can pay attention to. The Gospel of St. Luke, chapter 12, reading from the 13th verse. Someone from the crowd said to Jesus, "Teacher, tell my brother to divide the inheritance with me." "Tell me, my good man," replied Jesus, "who appointed me as judge or arbitrator over you?" "Watch out," he said to them, "and beware of all greed. Your life doesn't consist of the sum total of your possessions." He told them a parable. There was a rich man whose land produced a fine harvest. "What shall I do?" he said to himself. "I don't have enough rooms to store my crops." "I know," he said. "I'll pull down my barns and I'll build bigger ones. Then I'll be able to store all the corn and all my belongings there. And I shall say to my soul, 'Soul, you have got many good things stored up for many years. Take it easy. Eat, drink, and have a good time.' But God said to him, 'Fool, this very night your life will be demanded of you. Now who's going to have all the things you have got ready?' That's how it is with someone who stores up things for himself and isn't rich before God." So there we are. I'll talk to you again in a little bit later in August. Bye.